What happens when the campground dress code says none required? I'm Patti Hunt, and you're listening to the RV Life Podcast. Just a heads up, this episode does include some adult content, so you may want to have the little ones not around for this. A little bit about me. 4 years ago, my husband Dan decided that it would be a great idea to sell everything, get an RV, and travel the country. After I left, I realized he was serious and decided, what the heck, and I went along with it. And we did just that. For over 3 years, we traveled back and forth across the country 3.5 times, and it was an amazing experience. As a lot of people may know, he became ill a year ago. So it is now just me traveling by plane, by car. I think I'm going to travel by train and maybe hop on a boat here and there to travel around. I'm going to try it all. And then I stay in campgrounds and cabins and yurts and retro RVs. So I'm experiencing this RV life from a whole different perspective. Now, the other thing that I've added is a YouTube channel, and it is called Inspired Travels with Patti, where you could see some of my guests. So some of the podcast episodes, you could see my guests. Today's guests, I will put on the YouTube channel so you could see them. But I do have to tell you that this particular episode, there will be no videos at campgrounds that are clothing optional. So sorry about that, but that's not going to happen. Today, I bear it all, well, figuratively. My guests, the Naked Nomads, and I explore the world of clothing optional campgrounds. This has been something that I see often on social media. People talk often about because there's a lot of curiosity around it. So today I decided we need to talk about it. So Steve and Steph, why did you choose clothing optional campgrounds?
To not have clothes on.
There you go.
Just put it like that. It's I hate clothes. I don't like wearing clothes.
You know how when the kids grow up in your empty nest and you're like, wow, we can walk around the house naked. Well, you get used to that feeling and think, wouldn't it be cool to do that outside? And we kind of happened on it on a whim. He had wanted to try it out for a while, and I was a little skeptical about it, but we ended up, diving in, and we never looked back. It's the most liberating body positivity experience that you could hope for. It really is. You'll meet some of the most wonderful people, completely non-judgmental. It's very different than probably most people expect it to be.
And that's what we're going to dive in, because today we're going to demystify the world of clothing optional campgrounds. But before we do, I do want to share about these 5 incredible campgrounds. You do need to wear clothes, at least when you're outside of your RV, but they are great campgrounds, and they are the open road resorts. They have locations in Idaho, Nebraska, New Mexico, and 2 locations in Texas. All 5 of these campgrounds are highly favored parks, and they're highly favored by you, the RVers. They're highly favored on the RV Life Campgrounds review site. And you could go check them all out on campgrounds.rvlife.com or go to openroadresorts.com to find out all about these 5 incredible parks. Today's guests, the Naked Nomads, a married couple on a one-of-a-kind journey across the country, exploring clothing optional resorts and sharing their experiences with a growing community of curious souls. In the 4 years they have been adventuring, they have met amazing people and helped hundreds of people explore the textile-free world. Through the Naked Nomads website and social media outlets, they offer real-world insights, helpful guidance, and honest reviews for anyone interested in clothing optional lifestyle, whether you're a seasoned naturalist or just beginning to wonder what it's all about. Their travel goes beyond tours. It's a journey into body positivity, authentic human connection, and the incredible sense of freedom that comes from embracing yourself and the natural world. Along the way, they've met some of the kindest, most genuine people, proof that when you strip away the outer layers, what's left is the real beauty, good souls, open hearts, and a deep sense of belonging, sharing the magic that happens when you let go of expectations and reconnect to what is true, what truly matters. Welcome, Steve and Steph, to the RV Life podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for letting us educate people on the life of nudity.
It is so great to have you. I know we've met a couple years ago and we have run, across each other's paths several times. We saw each other in Tampa and I went back to the team. So for those people who don't know the RV Life podcast, I have an executive producer and producers. So there's a team of people that I talk to about, what's a good topic for my RV Life listeners. And when we talked about clothing optional campgrounds, it was an absolute yes. So many people are interested and curious and want to know what it's all about. So today we are going to cover it all. Well, we're going to try. Okay. But before we start, you guys have been RVers for 4 years.
Full-time RVers for 4 years.
Yeah.
Full-time RVers for 4 years. Thank you. Take us back to that time. What was the conversation between the two of you? Who decided that full-time RVing was the way to go?
Well, it kind of happened, again, as most really big life decisions happen, not necessarily by planning. When COVID hit, my job went completely remote. And being the creative person I am, I thought, well, I could pretty much work from anywhere. And shortly after that, Steven's work had a buyout. And I thought, you know what? Let's crunch some numbers. Maybe because we were empty nesters. The kids had all left the home. And we had a huge 6-bedroom house on 3.5 acres. We were spending hours every day keeping up for who? For no one. We didn't need all that house. We didn't need all that land. And I crunched some numbers and thought, you know what? We can do this. We can go on the road, live out of a nice motorhome. We do come back to Sunny Rest in the Pocono area for the summer where we have a separate seasonal spot. But we figured we could do this financially. Let's go ahead and sell the house and hit the road.
So where did the naked part, the naturalist part come in? Were you like that before you started the whole RVing, or was that something that started?
That came in probably.
Well, for you, it was.
For me, it was, I wanted to be naked my whole life. I started sleeping nude when I was a young kid. Got told if I get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I had to put clothes on because I got caught once. Mom didn't like that too much. So I've always been a nudist my whole life. And then probably, this is our 14th season.
Yeah,
at Sunny Rest. So we started going to the nudist resort before we sold the house.
Mm-hmm. Years and years before we sold the house. 10 years, almost 10 years. Yeah. And it was, once we got there, it was funny because the day we decided to actually take the plunge and go, he was in a bad mood. And we had heard the commercials for the Naked Beer Fest.
Go to the nudist resort.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Do you just want to go to this Naked Beer Fest? And he's like, you really want to go? And I was like, you know what? Make a decision now before I change my mind. And we got there and it was a little intimidating at first, I got to say. I mean, we weren't sure exactly what to do. Did we take our clothes off now and put them in the trunk? He asked if there were lockers,
So wait, I'm going to stop you a second. You're talking about your very first
time.
Okay.
Ever.
So I just want to be clear. Your first time, he's not even in a good mood. There's a Naked Beer Fest in Sunny Rest. First time. And you say, okay, let's go. So that's what I want to point out is all the things that go through your head when you get there. Okay.
So I had it in my head. I planned for it in my head. Okay, we're going to be naked in front of people. People are going to be naked in front of us. Just process that. So I'm processing it. He, of course, has wanted to do this for years. We pull up to the gate. They take our license, our information. Some places do run background checks. This particular one, they take your license and information and so forth. Then the gate lifts and you start to drive through and there's a naked man walking down the hill and Steven goes, "Oh my God, he's naked." And I was like, "Honey, we're at a nudist resort." He says, "But I didn't expect to see it so soon." So it's definitely, it's not, it's something that most people do have to ease into because, it's just not something you're socially used to seeing. But the minute you meet the people there and they're looking at you face to face, eye to eye, they're not looking you up and down like somebody, out at a nightclub or whatever would be doing. It's a very life-changing experience. You meet the kind of people that you never thought even existed, like completely non-judgmental. Nobody cares what your body looks like. Nobody cares what size you are. Nobody cares about anything. And we meet so many people that say, "Oh, I couldn't go there because I'm fat. I couldn't go there because my body is saggy." Nobody cares. And it's so hard to process that, but literally nobody cares or judges. And it's just a very liberating experience.
The one thing I do want to point out that I think now I've done a lot of research again over the last couple of years. The topic has come up a number of times. I've, heard groups of people talking about it, done some research. One thing I want to, emphasize is the fact that you pulled up to a security gate. So
Oh, yeah.
security, that is what I've heard is a big thing.
Yeah.
Big thing.
They try to protect everybody's privacy.
Yeah.
Every nudist place we've gone to, a resort or park, you're always behind gates.
Yeah.
And it's always
No pictures allowed.
No pictures. If you start doing anything goofy like that, you're immediately escorted off the
Yeah.
property.
And while most nudist resorts do allow single individuals to come in, again, some do a background check. They always take at least your license information. And if anyone ever reports this guy just feels creepy or this guy's making advances or even a woman for that matter, they get booted immediately and sometimes never let back in again. It is extremely, one of the biggest goals of every nudist resort is to make their guests feel comfortable because it's difficult enough, walking around naked in front of people that in most cases you've never met before. You do need to have some sense of security for sure.
Absolutely. And I've got to say, when I was in my years of dating, walking into a bar was more sometimes difficult, with
Absolutely.
guys and advances, and it sounds like it is being naked at a resort. Okay, so we've thrown some words around. We said clothing optional, we said naturalist, and we said nudist. So for people that this is all new to, can you kind of break down the meaning of that, of those things? How are they different? Just to the best of your knowledge.
Well, they're all the same as one, but
yeah, for the most part. Now, there is a difference between a nudist resort and a clothing optional resort, even though people in the community use them interchangeably. Technically, a nudist resort, you have to be nude unless it's cold, and then they just want you to wear a robe or a wrap, or like I'm wearing a sarong, which is the nudist clothing of choice other than a robe. Clothing optional, you're allowed to have clothing on throughout the resort, usually everywhere except in the pool or hot tub. In the pool or hot tub, most places you must be nude. And most of the reason for that is because they don't want people just coming there to look. They want people who really want to be part of the community. They understand that a lot of people are new to it and may feel a little insecure at first. So they allow you to wear clothing, but they want you to be part of the community. They don't want you to just come in and observe and kind of be creepy.
Right, exactly.
So that's the reason for mandating nudity in the pools.
Okay.
And Sunny Rest, the one we go to in the summer, is clothing optional. You'll see people there all the time with clothes on, especially in Pennsylvania, especially in the Pocono Mountains. It gets chilly, even in the summertime at night.
Well, when the sun goes down, yeah.
Yes. So now naturalist is a little different, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's more, most naturalists or naturists want to be nude all the time. And most of the naturist type resorts are in the South because it's their life. They are open year round. And it doesn't really get cold enough to have to put on clothes all the time. it's slightly different vibe. I don't want to use the word hippie, but it's kind of like that very laid back, chill. But most places it's really a mix. There aren't too many resorts that are completely one way or the other. Most of them are a mix, and everybody gets along and everybody respects one another's values and beliefs. Some people think that some of the resorts are cliquey. It's really because you form such a bond with the people in your community that you don't always, you know, aren't always as welcoming to others. But for the most part, every nudist resort, you come into it, people will talk to you, people will ask you questions, people will answer your questions, people will be completely honest with you. It really is just like, it's kind of like the neighborhood you always wanted to grow up in, but naked.
Okay. Okay. I can't quite picture that, but okay. I'm thinking of the neighborhood I grew up in. Okay. So that's something to think about. All right. Let's go back to your first time. So you go through this security gate, you go in. Did his mood change at all? Let me ask that.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It went from grumpy to what the heck am I doing? I like to be naked, but I'm not sure I want to be naked around 100 other people I don't know. And at that point, Beer Fest is probably 1,000 other people I don't know.
Wow. So talk a little bit about that. There is that, I think with anything that's new, it's like, yeah, this is great. And then you get there and the reality sets in. And you even talked about, okay, do you take your clothes off and leave them in the trunk? Like, talk people through that who are thinking of doing this.
I had it in my head that, you remember the old airport lockers? You put your quarter in, you get your key out, put everything in, and you come back, or the amusement park lockers. I'm like, they got lockers down there. We'll get undressed down there. And we start walking through the parking lot, and there's a couple getting undressed at their trunk and throwing their clothes in the trunk. And I'm like, well, I guess we're going back to the car to get naked.
Yeah. And I was definitely, as we walked down towards the office, because the parking lot was just above the office where we had to check in. And I was very apprehensive because I did not have a very good body image. I've had 4 children. I've given birth 4 times. So as you can imagine, I'm not a Barbie doll. I was a little self-conscious, but we found as soon as we got in there was a vendor selling those belly dancing wraps, like the little with the chingy changs. And I bought one of those, and I just suddenly felt that was the only anxiety that I had was about like my mom belly. And I just felt so much better then, and then I could relax. But once you actually meet people and talk to people, you completely forget you're naked and you forget they're naked. And I know that's very hard for most people to process. It's not something I can describe, and that somebody who hasn't been through it can understand.
You have to go experience
Yeah,
it.
you have to experience it.
It's
the same as going in a hot air balloon. I could talk you through it, but the experience is not something that you can explain. You have to experience it yourself. So when you went to Sunny Rest, you didn't have an RV. Where did you stay while you were there?
we live 20 minutes away. So
Oh, okay.
So we would just drive in and out.
Do day passes.
Or we had a pop-up at that point. We'd take the pop-up here and there every a couple of weekends here and there. And then we upgraded to a 5th wheel.
Yeah. So by the end of our first time was at the end of June. And by the end of the first season in August, we had purchased a membership. And then the next season, we purchased the RV. And was it that season? The end of that season, we got our seasonal spot. There are some people that come there and get a seasonal spot like the first year they're there, because it's addicting. It's just so much fun. In a sense, it can be like an adult playground. Zooming around on your golf carts and, drinking around the campfire. We have open mic nights where people play their instruments, very talented people. In the nudist community, because as you can imagine, if you can get naked in front of someone, getting up on stage is nothing. So,
right.
And getting up on stage naked in front of people.
Just picture the audience naked.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that. I was just at an event with a friend of mine who was speaking, and he was sharing how he gets nervous. And I said, well, do you do that thing where you picture everybody naked? So I guess this is very different. You're naked. They are really naked.
Yeah.
So what could go wrong? Like,
yeah.
there's, I guess, fears are gone.
Yeah, they do naked karaoke. There's open mic. At Sunny Rest, there are bands probably every 2 or 3 weekends, live bands. There's a pavilion. They have a nightclub, a tiki bar, pools, hot tubs, and most nudist resorts run anywhere. Almost everyone, probably everyone has at least a pool,
Yeah.
unless you're talking about some of the naturist clubs, which are really just an open, like campground type, very, most of people tent, they don't RV, but most of the ones, if it's called resort, then it at least has a pool.
Good to know.
And all of them have, at least a pool, a hot tub, and a little place to gather, whether it's a clubhouse or something like that. A lot of potluck dinners. If very few nudist resorts have liquor licenses and sell alcohol. Most of them are BYOB. And then in the community room, they have potlucks, and then they have different activities. Almost all of them have some kind of a calendar of events, just like a regular campground, really. I mean, it's really not a whole lot different than a regular campground, but the people are much nicer and more outgoing.
And again, we're talking about Sunny Rest, and it's funny that you guys live a couple hours from me, if that, and Sunny Rest is probably only a couple hours away. In the campground, so you could go, like you said, you could get a day pass, and I would imagine a lot of the resorts have day passes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you tent, and are there rental
Yes.
type situations if you want to stay? Can you talk about that?
At Sunny Rest in particular, there's tent camping. There are motel rooms. There are cabins that you can rent either for the weekend or for the season. And then there are transient RV sites. Some of them are paved, some of them are natural. There's a bathhouse, very much like a regular campground bathhouse, only this one has inside showers and outside showers, open showers.
Because if you're already naked, what difference?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And honestly, one of the most amazing feelings is an outdoor shower. It really is. It maybe takes some getting used to for people, but most people who have seasonal sites there have an outdoor shower on their deck.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Then this is all good information. And again, different resorts, just like a campground where you have to wear your clothes. I don't want to say regular campground. Has different types of amenities, different types of rentals, things like that. So it's really going to depend on the campground.
Where you go.
Yeah, where we're at now. We're in Louisiana now at a place called Indian Hills Nudist Park, and they have RVs you can rent. They have tent site. They have cabins, and again, you can go just come in for the day.
Yeah, or you can stay. We're here for 2 months every year because we just love it. It's very close proximity to New Orleans. It's about a little more than a half
40 minutes away
to New Orleans. So there's a lot to do. It's South Louisiana, Slidell, and there's just so much to do here, and the food's amazing and the people are amazing. So we love it here. That's why we stay every spring. The weather's beautiful in spring. Starts to get hot and muggy just about now. So that's when we book it back up to Pennsylvania for the summer.
And in the Poconos, it's beautiful in the summer months.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a question now. And again, for those people who are listening that have little kids, you might want to have them leave the room. A lot of people are wondering. So when people are walking around naked, the question is there sexual activities that go on? Some people I've seen have said, oh, it's like a big orgy. Give us
people that say that have never
been.
Right. And that's why I'm asking you guys, because again, I'm looking at the questions and comments that are on people's minds. And when, I have this conversation about this is what we're going to talk about on the RV Life podcast. These are the things that people could ask that they're wondering and, going on social media and talking about, even though they don't know the truth. So give us the truth of what you've experienced.
So I like to say there's really 3 different kinds of nudist campground resorts experiences. There are the ones that are very naturist oriented, where nothing sexual is tolerated, including touching your own husband on the shoulder.
Not being able to kiss your wife.
You can't kiss your wife in the pool. You can't be sitting next to you or holding hands in the pool. Like, they want absolutely no contact whatsoever. And then there do exist some resorts that entertain the swinger lifestyle. Very few, actually, probably a lot fewer than most people think. And really, those are more like lifestyle clubs that are also clothing optional. They're not really nudist resorts. So if you think of someplace like Caliente is a popular one.
Where's that located?
That's in Tampa, outside of
Lakes,
Tampa.
Florida.
Yeah, Land Lakes. That is a lifestyle club that is also clothing optional. They market towards the lifestyle crew. They have areas where people can explore their sexuality. And again, that is also not a big orgy.
No.
It's mostly couples like exploring their own fantasies and their own, a little bit of voyeurism, a little bit of exhibitionism, that kind of thing. But it's not what most people probably think. And that's like the far end of the spectrum, right? There's a couple of others that are close to that, but not a whole lot that really cater to that lifestyle. Most nudist resorts fall somewhere in between. And most of the reason for this is that many nudist resorts belong to an organization called ANAR, American Association for Nude Recreation. And part of the criteria for being a member as a resort is that you cannot condone sexual activity in the common areas. So there's no sexual activity in the pool areas, the restaurants, if they have them, things like that. What you do in your own camper, just like in your own home, is up to you. But the overall vibe at most nudist resorts is not sexual at all.
Okay. I just really wanted to debunk that myth because so many people, you're welcome. And I was like, how do I say this tactfully, honestly? But just to say it, because that is the theme that comes up over and over again.
Yeah. And every time we find somebody new, it's...
Yeah. And I think there are people that aren't looking for it. They want to go into, like you guys talked about, a campground, be naked, be in nature, and not have to worry about somebody.
And you don't. 9 times out of 10, if somebody comes up to you and asks you if your lifestyle or if you'd be interested in hooking up with them or whatever, do you tell them no?
They'll leave you alone. And you can still be friends.
Still be friends.
Still be friends. But that's different than being in a bar, for sure.
Yeah, very different.
Very different. And somebody keeps coming up to your wife and making advances at her, and she's told them no 3 or 4 times, then you got to step in and go, hey.
And in public, it's less likely that somebody's going to back you up. But in a nudist community, if someone sees someone, even if it looks like a woman's being harassed, anyone of the community will come up and very tactfully handle the situation. And if it persists, then the person does get thrown out.
That's good to know. That is good to know.
We all take care of our own here. Everybody. In fact, it's funny because you do see, and this maybe surprise some people, you do see a lot of people with high stress jobs. And honestly, one of the biggest tenets of the nudist community is that you don't generally know what people do for a living, nor do you care. You're looking to know them as a human. And when you strip the clothes, you really can't see what somebody's social class is or any of that. But you do get a lot of high stress jobs, teachers, police officers, lawyers, doctors, nurses, lots of nurses. So it's really a community in the sense that anything you need, there's somebody there. When he broke his ankle last year, 2:00 in the morning, we found a nurse that had bandages. There was an orthopedic surgeon camped across from us that helped to keep him comfortable until the morning when we could take him to the urgent center. So it's that kind of thing. It's like and we had no idea the guy in front of us was an orthopedic surgeon. Like we had no idea. We just thought he was a guy, right?
Talking to him earlier that day.
Yeah. It's just funny who you meet and you don't know who you're talking to until, the opportunity comes up. But we absolutely take care of each other in every way. If somebody passes, because there are a lot of older people in the nudist community, they'll have their funeral and service outside of the community, but they'll also have one inside to commemorate their clothing optional family, right? Because we are truly like across the country, really, because people travel and we see people all over the place that we know from other places. It's a small world.
Yes, yes. So I want to talk more about that. I know there are certain rules and etiquette. You touched on the organization for nudist resorts, and I want to give people tips if this is something they want to dip their toe into. But before we do that, I want to talk to people about an option if they don't have that RV yet, or they're looking to upgrade their RV. When you're an RVer, you want someone who is on your side every mile. And whether it's sales or service, that someone is Blue Compass RV. They have over 100 locations coast to coast, featuring more than 15,000 new and used RVs, with 1,000 service bays with more RV technicians than any other dealer. Blue Compass RV is with you today, tomorrow, and the road ahead. You could visit a local Blue Compass RV dealership or go to bluecompassrv.com today. Let's talk more about this. So not only are people literally stripping away their clothes, which, like you said, that identifies. People look at somebody and they say, they make judgments, sometimes not accurate judgments, because based on the way somebody's dressed, you get this idea, well, they're this or that. It's just something people do that unless you're aware of it, it's almost subconscious. So people come in, most people will get undressed, and people don't know if I'm talking to a doctor or a janitor, the teacher that's had a rough week. I was a teacher, so I could relate to that. Nurse, whoever you're talking to, because it sounds like that's not even the conversation that comes up. It's not that important. You could just be you and kind of get away from your life, your home life, and just have this sort of freedom is the word that comes to mind for me.
Yeah. I mean, we've even met a few celebrities. We can't name names, obviously, because that's another thing that's big in the nudist community is personal privacy. No one talks about who they see, right? Or who's there. When we're together, we're obviously all there for the same purpose, but outside, you never reveal a friend. Like if you see someone in the grocery store, which is odd enough to see them with clothes on.
Yeah.
If you have to explain to someone they're with, it's like, oh, I know them. Sometimes we usually just say we know them from camping.
Right. Leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings up another point. Somebody who, let's say, is a teacher. I know as a teacher, I actually signed what was called a morality clause, which at the end of the day, I didn't read the fine print. I'm not exactly sure what that means. So, I guess my concern would be being at a club like that and then seeing another teacher, or God forbid, the principal of the school. How do you address
here's the way I explain that. If they're there and they see you, they're there for the exact same reason you are.
Yeah, you'll keep each other's
so
secret.
you're going to keep each other's secret.
That's true.
Everybody's always so worried about, what if I see somebody I know?
Yeah.
Well, if you see somebody you know, one, it's probably going to, it's going to make you either very uneasy or a little bit more comfortable that you know somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, I didn't know you like to be naked.
And it's not like, honestly, there's nothing immoral going on. And that's what's confusing to those of us in the community, is that there are people out there that see nudity as an immoral thing. But that's how we're born, which is actually our tagline, live as you're born.
You were born.
That's how you're going to go out, right? So it's just the skin you're born in. I mean, we have so many issues today with especially women who are ashamed of their bodies or feel the need to mutilate or change their bodies in some way because they aren't comfortable in the skin they're in. And this community will just make you feel better about it because you're in a community where nobody honestly cares and nobody honestly judges. It does a lot for your morale, for your confidence. This community breeds strong women. It's just it's a very enlightening experience, a very positive experience for women and men.
And I would address I want to address two things, and then Steve, I'll bring you in. First of all, the fact that I had to sign a quote unquote morality clause. I am going to be very transparent and say, I do not think being in a campground and being naked is a morality thing at all. I'm putting my thoughts and opinions out there. That's my thought and opinion. How a school could have you sign this, and then who gets to decide that?
Right.
Yeah,
We're not
that's the
going to go
big thing.
down that rabbit hole because that's a rabbit hole we could go down. But I love what you were saying about body positivity. But Steve, go ahead.
So
Let's
2 years ago, we were sitting in a pool, and a bunch of us just talking about, how we found a nudist lifestyle and everything. And there was a bigger lady in the pool with us, and she goes, I once I found the nudist lifestyle, it's the best thing I could have had imagined. She goes, imagine we're sitting in a bar, and I'm sitting at the bar by myself. You wouldn't come up and talk to me as a bigger woman. You'd all sit down there and sorry. You'd
wow,
all sit down
Steve, you
there
had
and-
one rule: no curse. You can talk about sex, but you can't curse.
and talk to everybody down there. And I go, I'd probably say hi, but you're correct. I probably wouldn't come up and have a full on conversation with you. But as we're sitting in the pool, we all sit and talk with each other. And she goes, I can come here and talk with anyone, and nobody sees me as a bigger woman. Everybody sees me just as an equal.
And it goes for more than just body as well. I, being a neurodivergent person myself, I see a lot of neurodivergence in the community because
Explain what that is to my listeners. I'm familiar with the word, but you're using that word. Explain that to my listeners.
I have ADHD, and I have children who have ADHD and autism. And there are just quirky things about us that aren't always socially acceptable, that when you're in this community where nobody's judging anything, if you want to dance around and be yourself and do crazy things, like impulsive little things like pick up toads or count ducks, which I do.
Okay.
Nobody judges you. Like, if you want to dress in some crazy costume, because there are a lot of themed parties where people dress up in costumes. Neon night, most people don't wear clothes. They just put body paints all over them. But things like that. So it's a place that not only you can be yourself, you can express yourself the way you want. And that goes forward to like we see transgender people, and you don't think anything of it. You just don't. And nobody judges, and everybody feels comfortable. And as Stephen was saying, that's why a lot of people come, because they're not judged like they are in public, and people talk to them. And I can almost guarantee you it saved a few lives. It sounds like a ridiculous thing, but I almost guarantee you there's also a lot of people that come because they have depression, and it gives them a place where they can feel wanted and loved and cared about, and not judged.
And I think it's so important. And actually, it's a huge thing for me. I worked in a school district with at-risk youth. I heard the stories. They were high school students, how they felt about themselves, their bodies. And some of it was their own thoughts in their head. And we know that, even as a grown-up, how I think about myself, and I'll be honest, I go through some of the same thing. I had 3 kids. My body is not what it used to be. And I judge myself, and I probably judge myself more than other people judge me. That's a usual thing, that's what people do. So the whole idea of, stripping away all of that, because not only do we judge people's bodies and what they look like, but we're judging what they're wearing, how they're wearing their clothes, what kind of clothes, what brand of clothes. That's just the society we live in, is very judging about people. Being quirky or weird is just, I think we all have some of that. And whether we're diagnosed and labeled, I think everybody has some quirky weirdness.
Absolutely.
And I've gotten to the point where I'm just embracing my being weird sometimes, and I'm so okay with it. Years ago, if somebody had said I was weird, oh my God, that would have devastated me. And, and again, I'm just really sharing honestly, because I realized years ago that the most confident people, I saw these people standing on stage with such confidence. They looked perfect. They dressed what I thought was perfect. They acted perfect. They couldn't possibly have a negative thought in their head. And when I talked to them one-on-one, the realization that they were scared to death. They didn't feel
Yep.
that way. They judged themselves. It's just something that I want more information out there. Not everybody has to go to a nudist or clothing optional campground, but to find places that they feel comfortable in their own skin. I want to read this quote that you said, that I said in the edification, that really touched me. And it says, proof that when we strip away the outer layers, what's left is the real beauty, good souls, open hearts, and a deep sense of belonging, sharing the magic that happens when you let go of expectations and reconnect with what truly matters. And I wish for people that they could embrace this. Again, none of us are trying to promote somebody going to a clothing optional campground. Everybody should do what feels right for them.
Right.
But again, the whole idea is to demystify what people think goes on, and talking more about that idea about being able to just talk to somebody. I guess I'm an introvert and an extrovert. Just give him the time of day, the day of the week, whatever's going on for me. So there are times I'd love to be with people and interact. We sat and had a conversation together, and I love that. And then there are times I need to retreat and don't want to talk, just want to be an introvert and
That
not
is Stephanie.
socialize. Yeah.
That's me too.
Like at Tampa, when we met up with you at Tampa, we did the content creator,
It was a lot.
and we did the
A lot
RV
of
show.
interaction.
Stephanie will just look at me and go, "Okay, I think I'm done peopling. I can't people
Exactly.
anymore."
Exactly. You can't people anymore. And I would imagine to go into a space, not try to promote it, but a clothing optional space where you get that opportunity to get rid of the, the masks, the anything that's going on, and just be, and people accept whatever that is. I would imagine that if you decide you're not peopling that day, that others are okay with it. They're not.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And so I think everybody needs to find that kind of space where they can go, to be the introvert, or to just, be themselves. And I think so many people are looking to find what that is. And this is such an important topic. May is, I believe it's called National Mental Health Month. And I think that's what I thought. And I think when we touch on mental health, and again, I'm going down a road we didn't talk about, but as it comes up, you said places like this has probably helped save people's lives. I agree.
Absolutely.
I believe it. Just based on what you're saying about being able to go into a place where you don't feel judged, when you don't have to beat yourself up, when you don't, that it's a pretty dark place. And I've dealt with family members that have dealt with mental health issues, and it's one of the most difficult things, especially when it's somebody close to you. And a lot of it is because of how they think people think of themselves. It's usually so often not accurate. And so if a place like this, if somebody's out there listening and they're feeling low and they're feeling down, maybe this is something for them to explore.
Yeah.
And you'll know within a day whether it's for you or it isn't. It's for some people, it's not for others. And to be completely honest, there's nobody out there saying, "Oh, come to all the nudist resorts." We want you to be there if you want to be there.
Right.
But if it's not for you and you're not feeling comfortable, nobody wants you to feel uncomfortable. We're going to try our best to make you feel comfortable.
Right.
But, it's not for everybody, and that's perfectly fine.
And I'd like that you said you could ease into it. A lot of these places that are clothing optional, you could go in, you could get comfortable, decide, if you want to take your clothes off. And then, if not, and you don't feel comfortable, you can always leave. Just turn around and
You'll
walk back.
probably even feel more like the weird one walking around with clothes on because
Right.
everybody else is naked.
Yeah.
Then you think everybody's looking at me because I have clothes on, and they're not.
Right. No judgments. Right. Okay. So now you guys have been to campgrounds across the country over the last 4
Yes.
years.
Yeah.
How do you find them? I know we touched a little bit on the organization and AANR. Talk a
Yeah.
little bit more about that and how you go about finding campgrounds that, would fit your needs.
A lot of it's word of mouth
Mhm.
or just Googling. Yeah, when we first set out and I was planning our trip, I Googled a lot, like I knew Louisiana was going to be a halfway spot between Florida and Texas.
Mhm.
Where is there a nudist resort in Louisiana?
Well, there's only one.
There's only one.
And we're here.
And we found it and fell in love with the place.
Yeah.
But Google's a lot and
Yeah.
word of mouth.
Yeah. Well, we're working on,
And ANR.
obviously on our website, we have a ton of, it says reviews, but we don't like to think of them as reviews because we're not judging. We're not saying, oh, this is better than that one. We're going to let you know what's there, what the vibe is, what the amenities are, what you can expect. It's more like a guide than a review because everybody's looking for something different, right? We want to be that group that helps you find what you're looking for. We're not looking to pull you in one direction or the other, but we definitely want to provide that information. At some point, I'll have a nice handy guide with like a matrix with check boxes of what resorts offer what and where they are and all that good stuff. Been working on that for a while, but eventually I'll get it posted to the website. But as Steven said, like for instance, we use the RV Life app to plan our trip every year, right? And we do actually go to what we call textile campgrounds, regular campgrounds in between, because we can't always find as we're traveling a place to stop along the way because there's not a lot. There's certain states that have several nudist resorts and certain states that have none. And even as Stephen was saying, they're actually sometimes difficult to find. If you know what they're called, sometimes you can Google them, but it is very difficult to find a good solid list of all the nudist resorts around the country. And just like any other business, some of them close, some of them new ones open. So sometimes you find one and then you come to find out it's not there anymore or it's turned textile. So we do go to textile resorts as well. We use the RV Life app to plan the whole thing. So I actually have to add all of the nudist resorts as custom stops. But when I do that, I do fill out the little card with the information on it. So that's helpful as well. Hopefully we can get some more clothing optional places listed. Maybe they'll have to tag them with a certain color so people don't accidentally reserve at one and not knowing it's clothing optional, because most of them don't say that in the name of the resort, like Sunny Rest Resort just says Sunny Rest Resort. We've had a few people show up not realizing it was clothing optional because they needed a place to camp for the night.
Okay, so warning to people when you're booking a campground and you don't want it to be clothing optional, you really need to just read, because I would imagine Sunny Rest website, do your homework. Sunny Rest website would clearly say it's clothing
as soon as you go on the website, it says clothing optional, but the name of the resort does not say that.
Did not know I had to warn my listeners about that. But thank you. That's a great tip.
In Louisiana, it's called Indian Hills Nudist Park.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a little more obvious.
Yes.
But they don't all call themselves that.
Yeah, but someplace like Cypress Cove is a really beautiful place in Kissimmee, about 20 minutes from Disney. It's a beautiful resort, beautiful with its own lake and free paddle boats and all kinds of fun stuff to do.
Whispering Pines, just
there's actually a Whispering Pines that's clothing optional, and then there's another one that's not clothing optional. So you have to be careful which one you're booking at.
Kind of close to each other,
and they're pretty close. They're in
North Carolina.
Yeah,
Whispering Pines nudist
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah, which is about 40 minutes north of Myrtle Beach.
That's another beautiful park.
Yeah. That's
so people could go. Like. People can go to your website, and it's Naked Nomads.
TheNakedNomads.com.
TheNakedNomads.com. Great. So people could go there.
Or, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Check out my skydiving on YouTube.
The Naked Skydiving. That's a fun event.
That's another event we have coming up.
Okay. Naked Skydiving. Where is that?
Naked Skydiving. That will be at Sunny Rest. Yeah. This will be our third year doing it. We
And wait, so how do you get that on YouTube?
a lot of editing.
A lot of editing. A lot of
Okay.
editing.
Okay.
And honestly, the straps cover a lot of the area. So
Yes, we'll leave it to people's imaginations.
if you need to accelerate your bucket list, you can check off 2 things with naked skydiving.
Yes, there you go. I think I'm going to pass on that one,
Come on.
but it might be interesting to come check out.
Oh, we get
Yeah.
we get just as many people watching as we do
probably
jumping.
more
We get
people watching than jumping.
I'll bet.
Yeah. We do a
Okay.
long weekend. We have about 50 jumpers every year. And then we
Wow.
probably have a couple hundred that come and watch or even watch from their homes in the surrounding areas.
Yeah.
You can't really see anything when you're a tiny little dot in the sky, but
But we'll be
Right,
doing that July 9th to the 14th this year. So
yeah.
if you're
Okay.
interested, sign up. Check it out. It's making its way around Facebook. So
Okay, I'm not skydiving. Safe to say, I am not doing that. We will talk. This podcast is definitely live in the moment, minimal editing, and there it is for everybody to hear. Okay, so I don't even know where we were. We covered a lot. We covered safety. They have security. The community as a whole really cares about the people.
yeah.
We talked about, that it is a little nerve-wracking the first time you go. Do you take your clothes off? Do you not? And the answer is do what feels right for you, because
Do
there's
what you're most comfortable with.
there's no
But
rule.
always remember to bring a towel.
Yes.
Oh,
Number one rule. Always
You
bring a
always need a
towel.
towel. So when you go to somebody's house or you're sitting down in the chair, you have something to sit on.
Okay, good rule.
No bare bottom on a chair.
Okay, that is good to know. Anything else? Any other big tips to share with people?
Well, along with that, nudists are probably the cleanest people you'll ever meet in your life.
Okay, that is really good to know.
I mean, people think about that. Oh, I don't mind somebody's dirty butt sitting on my chair. Well, first of all, they're bringing a towel, because there is not one nudist out there that will let you sit in any chair without a towel.
Okay.
And, second of all, you're already naked. You just hop in the shower a couple times a day,
Right. Okay.
especially if it's hot. Above all, really, the community is, no matter where you go, where in the country, because that was part of our curiosity when we were at Sunny Rest for almost 10 years. When we ventured out to other places, we thought there's got to be other places like this. And I will say that Sunny Rest is still our favorite. Indian Hills is probably a close second. The sense of community, the feeling of non-judgment, the connection with nature, which we didn't really get into, and it's more me thing than a him thing.
Yeah, she's a nature.
I've always been a barefooter, so I really like that connectivity with nature. I actually have my workstation set up outside under a canopy, and I work outside every day. So when the weather's good, which since we travel, we basically chase 75. We chase good
70.
weather. Yeah. Well, I like to be more than 70, but whatever.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
So the sense of community is Sunny Rest is very big on community. We do
all of them really are.
Yeah, all of them. But Sunny Rest, we got a lot of ladies that have gone through breast cancer.
Oh yeah, that's
so
true
in
too.
June we do
a lot of people
big
with mastectomies.
Motorcycle ride. They put together a big motorcycle ride for the ladies.
Yeah.
Are they naked on the
No, we
go out
do
in public.
sometimes put clothes on. And
Okay.
Yeah, we're normal people outside of the gates.
I didn't know if it was like in the campgrounds and you're
naked. It's a big poker run.
There's one for the blue.
The back to blue and
the back to blue.
So Kevin puts that together, I believe, in August.
Mm-hmm.
June is the Save the Tatas.
Yeah.
And there's a few hundred bikers.
Yeah. And we do all kinds of, like at Sunny Rest anyway, we do all kinds of fundraisers for the community.
Yeah.
There's even a couple there that does it across the country.
Okay. Will that be on your website, those events?
Those would be on Sunny Rest.
Those would be on Sunny Rest website. The skydiving will be on ours, because
on ours. That's our event.
It's our event that Sunny Rest and Pegasus Skydiving sponsor. So
okay. Wow. This is information that I know I wasn't expecting. I would imagine my listeners weren't quite expecting all of this. And,
Yeah.
for both of us, like, I want my listeners to ask questions, whether it's you guys on your social media, the Naked Nomads, or on my social media, RV Life Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. We are not done, but I just want to make sure that if this led to additional questions, that people have a place to reach out and ask those questions.
We
And even
really
in
are just normal people.
Yeah. And if you go on our website, we have a contact us page, of course. And that goes to a big clearinghouse where all of our requests go in. And then we also have Facebook Messenger and Instagram Messenger are popular places where people reach out to us. We do have that disclaimer, immediate automated response, but we will get back to you. Yeah. So anything anybody wants to know, any questions that they have, they can use either of those, any of those formats.
That and again, we encourage people to reach out because this is something that people could be looking for because they are feeling judged or they're feeling bad about themselves. And so that's certainly a part of this conversation that I don't think a lot of people were expecting, but I could see where it would be very beneficial to, so many people. And you want to say young girls that have these images about their body, but it's not. It's men and women, and it's grown people that have these feelings about themselves. So
a lot of women going through divorces come out because they just want to feel better about themselves, and it's a place to go if you can handle it, and if you're into it. You'll know right away if you need a support system, because people are going to support you there regardless of what's bothering you. But just a very supportive environment.
So as a now single woman, it is a place that as a single woman I could go to?
Oh, absolutely. You're safer in a nudist resort than you are at any than the supermarket.
Oh, great.
If somebody sees somebody coming on to you, they're going to go up and say, "Hey, excuse me, Patti, how are you? Are you okay? Can I help you out with anything? Whatever, just to get the vibe." And you can either use that as your, let's get me away from this guy kind of thing.
Right.
And if it's even more than that, then the guy will get spoken to and or removed from the premises, depending on the extent of the nature of the incident. But
and that's
if you
really
tell me
good.
you're fine and go away,
and
I just go get another drink.
And it doesn't even have to be a sexual advance. It can really just be somebody's following you around and asking you a lot of questions. Every nudist place wants everyone to feel comfortable and safe.
And that's great to know, because I know I've walked into bars even with my wedding ring on, or a club, or and had more of an issue than it sounds like I would have there.
Oh, absolutely.
We could talk on and on forever. I'm sure there'll be other questions. And if you guys get questions, share them with me so I could post on my social media. And again, we are not done yet. You guys cannot go anywhere just yet. I do want it's now time for the question of the week. And this is for you guys. I don't prepare you ahead of time. So I'm going to ask the question, give you a minute to think about it while I talk about Cool RV, because it is an amazing air conditioning. It goes into your air conditioner to make your RV cooler. So I want to share that, and then I'll come back to you for your answer. The question is, what's on your bucket list? So people you want to meet, a place you want to go, an experience you want to have. If you both have something different on your bucket list, you could both share. But while you're thinking, I want to share RV life is all about adventure, but not about sweating it out in the heat. Meet Cool RV, the game changer in RV air conditioner upgrades. With cool air, more airflow, and a whisper quiet operation, you'll stay comfortable without the noise. Whether you're off-grid or at a campsite, enjoy the chill without that roar. Upgrade your ride with Cool RV, where comfort meets the road. You can visit coolrv.com, and that is KOOLRV.com. Visit them today and find out all about how to keep your RV cooler. Okay, so you guys, bucket list, skydiving naked. It sounds like that's...
We're kind of living our bucket list.
Yeah.
It sounds like it. So is skydiving naked something new? Have you ever done?
I wouldn't mind going to other countries. We get a lot of
Yeah.
followers, especially on Instagram. Places in Ireland, Australia, Germany is huge.
Oh, yeah.
Germany has a lot of nudist places. Most European countries don't have any hangups about
Yeah.
clothing.
They're not
So
as hung up as
yeah,
we
there's tons of
Americans.
places on the on the other side of the world. So if there's anything that we haven't experienced, that would probably be it. Right now, logistically, since we live in a motorhome, we'd have to park it and pay to have it parked somewhere while we go somewhere else, which technically isn't any different than paying your mortgage and taking a vacation.
Right.
But yeah, that's probably the only thing I could think of.
Ireland for me. Definitely.
Yeah, Ireland, big one.
That
Yeah,
sounds
skydiving was
amazing.
a big bucket list for me.
Yeah.
And I did skydiving before with clothes on, but to do it naked was
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
awesome.
Well,
The only other thing that I could think of is and I just lost it.
okay. Well, if you think of it, so stay with me because I'm going to talk about the campground of the week. And this
Mhm.
campground, you do need to wear clothes for this campground. It is brought to you by RV Life. We talked about the RV Life suite of products that you guys use. We'll have to talk to RV Life about adding naked campgrounds to their filter. I don't know if that's possible. The owner listens to the episode, so we'll see what he has to say about that. But this week's feature campground is St. George Hurricane KOA in Hurricane, Utah. It is a Thousand Trails park, but you do not need to be a member to stay. St. George Hurricane KOA. The landscape is absolutely incredible. It reveals millions of years of geologic history and breathtaking views. I started looking at these pictures of what's around this campground, and absolutely breathtaking is the only word I could think of. They have 123 sites. They do have full hookups. And if you don't have an RV like me, I could go rent a cabin while I'm there. They have a solid 7.3 rating on the RV Life Campgrounds website with 190 reviews. So if you want to hear what the RVers that have stayed there are actually thinking, what their thoughts are, then you could check out the reviews. And what's really nice is it's easy to book this campground because you go to campgrounds.rvlife.com, type in St. George/Hurricane KOA, and then you could see all of the photos. They have a full list of the amenities about the property. Everything you need to know is right there. And what's even nicer is you could hit the book now button, not go anywhere else, just book your stay right from the RV Life Campground site. As I said, RV Life Campgrounds is part of the RV Life Pro suite of products, and it's the most comprehensive source of RV parks, campgrounds, resorts, city, state, national parks, and Corps of Engineer parks. Doesn't have nudist parks yet, but maybe you could suggest that. It's customer support.
We're working on it.
There you go. And you could go there by visiting campgrounds.rvlife.com. If you're not already a member, there is a 25% discount link in the show notes. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show, for all of the information. I know that you've really cleared up a lot of the mystery in the idea of clothing optional campgrounds. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for letting us educate people on the life of nudity.
Yes. And again, any questions, I want the listeners to reach out to you guys, whether it's private message on your social media,
Absolutely.
message me, and let's share those questions and answers. We'll leave names out of it, and I will have them posted on my social media just to get any further questions answered for people, put it out there to everyone. And I want to thank my listeners and remind you life's a journey. Live each day to the fullest without regrets. I'm Patti Hunt, and you have been listening to the RV Life Podcast.